back again with our trend following approach here at Fractal Trading. This has been yet another awesome week when it comes to trend following in 2017. Remember what we're doing here. We're looking at just the price. We don't care about where the price could go. We follow the market. We have no targets in trading our stop behind the price. And when the market moves a long way, we're just going to be there. And if it doesn't, then we're just going to get stopped out. Our risk management takes place of the majority of our trades, as we will be stopped out of about 60% of what we enter, and the rest will just keep on moving. Now, starting out with some indices here, the US space is still a great place to be at the moment. Now, the more people you see saying that this is going to end and we have the top in and stuff like that, giving you all of these drawings in their charts with lines and pitchforks, and I don't know what they use to project the tops. They will just keep on getting stopped out, which again sends the price higher. We have the breakout mark here in the Nasdaq, and we have been long ever since the breakout occurred here at the end of 2016, and yet again another week closing at all-time highs. So we don't even have to check any other time frame for that. We'll just let this run. There is nothing to do in this market now for 3 months. We have the same going on in the Dow Jones. The breakout is marked. We are long from there, and we're just holding it. We are bouncing off the balance zone here, the first little bit of a bigger correction in this whole thing to the upside, but momentum has peaked. We do not have any divergence coming up so far. This market probably has a long way to go. Same is true for the S&P. Let me just enter the right market here as the CFD again. You can see also there is this bounce off of the balance zone, and it's just going to keep on moving. We first need this divergence to come up before this market has any chance of turning around, and before the divergence comes up, you probably have a couple more months for this market to keep on rising. Even more people screaming out how this cannot go on and how fake this all is, but you as the trend follower, you bought it at the marked breakouts, and you just let it run, and you don't care what the other people say. Price is the only truth in this game. So we'll also let this one run. We even have the European indices following this direction. The DAX here is just about to hit new all-time highs above 12,400. This last week was massively strong. As you can see here, it has been moving parallel to the balance zone, which means that it's a very natural way of how it's rising. It's not rising too fast. It doesn't keep on penetrating the balance zone, not really getting going. But what happens is it just keeps on rising. The last week, so much momentum in here again, even though we don't see too much pressure overall in the momentum, but the price is the main indicator. This oscillator down here only gives us an idea of what could happen, and if the price rises and if we are long, we don't really care what's happening down here. We'll trailer stop inside the balance zone behind the market, and at some point it will just stop us out. This is also in regard to what I just said to the US markets. Even though I mentioned that we will see this divergence in the S&P and the Dow and so on, the market will keep on rising. That is all true, but the divergence itself is nothing that we trade on. It's only a picture, like in a navigational system in your car when you drive. You know where you want to go, but if there is an accident and you have to reroute or something like that, then you will pay attention to what is happening now on the road. The navigational system really is only your theoretical kind of basis that you base your driving on, and it's kind of the same thing here, where it's nice to see the oscillator. It will give us an idea of how much strength there is in the market, but this oscillator can only show what it shows because of some calculation that it does on the price. But price is the main indicator. This is what we follow. So here in this German DAX index, we'll just hold our longs. And we even have markets like the Spanish IBEX index that broke out here. I've marked the breakouts, and look at how strong it's moving. The momentum is all the way to the upside. So over here, we're just guessing that the next target is going to be here at just around 12,000 for this market. Also holding longs in that. The only indice worldwide that is not following this kind of bullish action is the Nikkei index. Now we're also long in here, but we have a week that closed lower. We are inside the balance zone. However, so far we have no fractal inside the balance zone that would give us a significant point of exit. So right now we have stops just above the breakout levels, and we'll wait for that fractal to be formed inside the balance zone. As we are also on top of the balance zone on the monthly, this is a trending situation and we don't want to exit too early. Even though it's a little bit annoying that this market is not going as the other ones, we'll have quite a few positions on in markets that are working, especially S&P sees so much upside with all of the add-ons, and we just have to wait for the Nikkei. I don't think that this market is going to collapse into here. I think we'll see the turnaround pretty soon after this correction. Now, what has happened here really, if you zoom out, zoom in a little bit more, you get your upside trend, and ever since this significant movement from the levels of 17, 18,000 all the way up to 19, 20,000, you get the market breathing, and you see that in here. The absolute low of this internal correction, which is a major correction on the daily. Now, if you don't know what that means, watch my How I Trend Follow video. The absolute low is right there, and as you can see, the market has never reached that low again. It bounced around, and now we have a lot of people getting long in this area here. What the market does now is it shakes these people out as it approaches these old lows. It could actually trigger them, go right below them before it turns around. We have the red line of the balance zone being breached in that scenario, which is totally fine. As it creates a new fractal then in this area, which would be the very first important significant fractal inside the balance zone in this uptrend, and we would expect the market to then turn and go to the upside. But we'll just have to wait and see for that. It will take another couple of weeks to unfold in this kind of manner if we are right on this. If we are wrong on this, we're just going to get stopped out at the current stops, which are just about the breakout levels, if this uptrend does not continue. That is the indice markets. Let's take a look at British pound. We do see a lack of momentum as we have indicated in the last couple of weeks. We have entries as I have marked them, and we have stops. The current stop is right there. This one is not the current one anymore. We have the current stop right there, and the market is coming towards that. Let's see if it's going to be hit or if we're lucky enough for this to turn around. British pound Australian has been the focus in the last couple of months as well. We have the entries marked. Stop is currently above this fractal, very far away from current market price. We have the market penetrating the balance zone, and we'll really have to wait and see if it can turn around, if there will be a fractal at that point, or if we see it spike higher and stop us out right there, which would make us have a profit on the first position and a small loss on the second one. Now we could just pull this one into profit, but then we wouldn't really be following the market. We would just be trading our wallet, and that's not what we want to do. We want to have respect for the price, and that would mean in this case wait for your fractal inside here somewhere. So hold these shorts as the next week starts trading. Now, Euro US dollar has a tricky kind of scenario going on. We were mentioning the downtrend from 2014-15, then huge side move, which we expected to be triggered to the downside, which it was, but then it came into these monthly lows, and that was a point where price turned around and headed back into the balance zone. Now we got stopped out on our fractal stop here with a very small profit, very small profit from these shorts, and the market even took a buy signal here for me, even though we were trading against the trend, as it didn't come through the monthly lows, and it actually hit that fractal that is an up fractal that would indicate a breakout to the upside. Right after it has been hit, the market tanks massively. So I just exited my long position, as I just had to admit I was in here for the very first try for this market to come to the upside, maybe reach targets somewhere here in this fractal area. but it didn't happen. It came lower, so I just pressed the button right before the market closes on Friday, and I exited with a very, very small loss. Remember, we are only taking 1%, not even 1% of risk on our equity in each trade. So when something like this happens, you get in, market turns on you. In the same week you get in, so you immediately exit. There's nothing else to say. So it's a waiting game again in the euro. We don't see, or I don't see any clear direction here for now. Euro Australian, Euro Canadian is also interesting, as we have been mentioning the monthly breakouts being hit here in the Euro Australian, but what happened ever since is just like in the Euro US dollar, it comes up, it bounces into the balance zone, and now look at the candle that we get here from last week. It's rejecting the balance zone heavily, but where is that momentum to the downside that we see a follow through, that we see prices continuously staying below the balance zone? So far it hasn't happened. As long as we are short on the monthly, which we are, the price is below the balance zone on the monthly, we would be taking continuous short breakout signals, but this is a little bit annoying. It hasn't gotten going on all of this time here. Early 2016 even, we did not see this really go to the downside that much. Not that great for us as the trend follower. Same is true for Euro Canadian. This one even jumped up much more, but look at the rejection of the balance zone here. We did come above it, but now we're closing inside of it. This fractal area sees a lot of people getting short, and so the market turns. We have the monthly breakout here, which led price to bounce into the balance zone, not being successful for us to sell this. Again, risk management takes care of scenarios like that, and we just want to be ready if this massive candle here triggers a short move to the downside. Now we want to be selling again as we hit the low area here. That will take probably quite a bit of time. For the last two markets, we are looking at silver and gold. I really enjoy silver here for the week. We have a breakout that's almost hit here in the last week. Remember, we have this huge downtrend, which was a correction on the monthly, initial move to the upside, now a correction of that initial move, and no lower lows. We are not lower than here, which means the downtrend, the correction, is not continued. Instead, this initial move proves to be probably the true one, which is corrected, and now we get the massive trend to the upside as this fractal will be taken. Now we are not on the safe side. Well, we're never on the safe side, but we're not on the safer side unless or until this fractal here at the very upper border or the upper price level, the high of this initial move has been triggered at here 2107. We are currently trading at 1822, so we would really have to wait until this comes out and takes that fractal successfully and then stably moves up. This is a very nice point to buy it though. Not so great, or not so great is maybe not the right word here, but we have the exact same scenario in gold. Downtrend, which was correction, initial move, now correction of that initial move in here, no lower lows below here, which means the next breakout fractal above the balance zone would be the fractal that takes the market in its previous direction, which is this one, the long one, the one where the initial move went towards to. So now we're trying to buy this as well, just like in silver, but we did get a little bit of a rejection here last week. As you can see, we're coming down. It doesn't really matter, you know, we just have the order in, and we would be waiting for this to get going. And the more bullish it is, the better it is. The more successful the breakout looks, the better. And in gold, maybe that will be a little bit tricky as it starts to move above this fractal that I'm marking just right here now. And we might see the market come back a little bit as momentum may be a little bit on the weak side. But that's just interpretation. Let's wait for the market to confirm the breakout first of all. Now, as we have taken, or if the market takes this fractal, we are still not on the quote safe side. What we want is the breach of 1377 here before we can really assume that a longer term breakout has been hit and the market could come all the way back up to where it once traded here, just above or just below 2000. Let's see if that happens. We're still very early on, but we gotta recognize the market structure in this case. So have your orders in, wait, show some patience, and let the year 2017 go by. See what happens. That's where the joy of trading lies. If you manage your risk, there's never anything that would get your emotions up, that would get your emotions down. It's just about following the price, and as you can see in the indices, massive movements, which are not even over, will yield massive profits. All the stuff that gets you stopped out, which I mentioned last week, euro dollar short stopped out, euro dollar long now stopped out. We have stop outs in euro Australian, euro Canadian, and we'll probably get stopped out as well in the British pound soon. um, if you manage your risk, you will have the ratio on your side. The winners are making you much more than you lose on the losers. So that's how you trend follow. That's how you trade. And over the long term, 10 years, 20 years, you can really make something of your money. The beginning may be a little bit tough depending on your balance, but at least you got the products now with the micro and mini CFDs, even futures, and where you can put on some positions here on the longer time frames and follow the market instead of horsing around collecting the crumbs on the 5 minute, because most people won't be able to pull that off with full-time jobs, families, and so on and so forth. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Please let me know if these or if you have any question, if I should structure the videos a little bit differently, maybe focus only on one market, two markets for the video, but going into more detail than we do here, covering 6 or 7, even 8 markets at times. Like it, the video if you do, and I talk to you next week. Enjoy the weekend. See you soon.